My amplified unit, welcome to the coffee bar. I'll be your host, BC. Come on in, relax, grab a bevy, and let's talk Monday Night Raw 7/29/24, just 5 nights away from SummerSlam. The boys and gals raised their game last night. Amplification, passion, a pulse, and these pro wrestlers. Could Hunter Hearst Helmsley's booking back it up? We're gonna talk about it in this Raw review. Before we do that, a big shout out, a salute to every single one of BC's subscribers out there. Especially to my channel members, everybody that is rocking a gold card, everybody that is a board of director on this channel, raise them up! Raise them up! Because you know what we gotta do. Because you know the best part of waking up, it's Folgers in your cup. Folgers, it's in your motherfucking cup. Salute, unit. Yeah, that's gonna do it. Big shout out, by the way, before we get going. Big shout out over to, and let me make sure I get this accurate. In yesterday's upload, after we went live, a super thanks super chat by Rob Reverne. Rob, I appreciate that super thanks super chat, dude. Never needed, always appreciated. Rob says, listening to BC, I get to learn so much. It makes the world of professional wrestling much more colorful and richer. Thank you for pushing through the technical issues. BC never gives up. You know it, Rob. We had some technical issues in the stream yesterday, but you guys rocked out for over an hour. Rob, I appreciate that big time, man. Again, never needed, always appreciated that super thanks, super chat. Appreciate you big time. And hopefully we could do the same in this upload. Entertain you, drop a lot of knowledge with hopefully zero technical issues. We're going to get right into it, guys. We're going to start with Sethington Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and CM Punk starting this show off. All three middle of the ring. So we got to start with Sethington Rollins and what he was wearing. Usually we can blame this on Becky Lynch's closet, right? So Sethington before Raw wanders into Becky's closet, finds some funky hat, a furry coat, some high heels, and he's ready for Monday Night Raw. What he was wearing last night, you can't even blame on Becky Lynch's closet. This was, I don't know if you call it an outfit, a costume, or just an atrocity, I guess would be the best word. An atrocity. Because what he was wearing was a referee zebra-printed bundle of never should you do that. That's the best way to describe it. And it was like inflated. This referee outfit was inflated as if you would pump up your football or your basketball or your car tires. It looked like a giant flotation device. Like you could literally float on what Sethington was wearing last night. You could float at the pool or at the beach, in the ocean. You could float on this. It looked like it was actually inflated. And on one hand, you get a giggle out of it, right? That's Sethington. He's so quirky. But on the other hand, you remember this is Drew and Punk, one of the hottest feuds / rivalries in the industry today, and it needs to be treated as such. And those boys went out there in that promo last night, and they crushed it. Knocked the ball so far out of the park, you ain't gonna find that ball. And then you have Sethington. Sethington brings the comedy to it. It's not needed in this situation. Sethington and Punk have their own feud. That's going to be special. The seeds were already planted. Cool. Drew and Punk has their own special rivalry going. It is epic. Sethington does not need to be in this as a special guest referee just because you had nothing for Seth for SummerSlam, just like you had nothing for Seth at WrestleMania, so you threw him in this tag team with Cody Rhodes. Sethington Rollins is muddying the waters. That was the concern from the jump when it was announced last week. That is the concern from this promo. And then when Sethington started to speak and talk about the rules of the match, it got even worse. But there's no reason for Seth to be involved in this. And this is what Hunter Hearst Helmsley does too much, too often. He is just making a third wheel feud. We've seen it with Dragunov, Sami Zayn, and Bron Breakker for months now. We're seeing it currently with Petey Dunne, Sheamus, and Bronson Reed. We saw it with Chance Carter and Valkyria, Damage Control, and then Sonya Deville, Zoey, and Shayna. And you can go on and on. Chad Gable and the Creeds, and Otis, Tozowa, Maxine, add in the Wyatts. There's always 3 layers to this. Why? It doesn't benefit people like Dragunov. We've already seen that. It's not benefiting Bronson Reed, even with a victory last night. It definitely did not benefit Damage Control. Did you see the crowd reaction upon their return last night? Crowd doesn't know what to think. Did they turn babyface just because the heels came in and beat up the heels, which was Damage Control? Did that turn them face? Are they still heels? Crowd didn't know how to react. That's what I mean. Hunter Hearst Helmsley is creating a confusing product, and when fans are confused, they just walk away. So these are the issues that have to be you got to put the lid on it now. Let a feud between 2 individuals, or if it's a tag team with those 4 individuals, let it sizzle. You don't need to add more ingredients if the recipe is already to perfection. It's ready to be made. That dish is ready to be served. No reason to add more. Sometimes you try to do too much, you'll dilute the product you're trying to serve. And that's what Hunter Hearst Helmsley is doing now. So much talent, he's trying to fit them all in. And you're just confusing everybody. You have heels attacking and fighting heels all the time. You have faces facing faces all the time. Because you always have these 3 dynamic feuds. Or 3-dimensional. I don't know how dynamic it is. Sethington, they just added to Drew and Punk. Should have kept it separate. Here we are. So Seth is going to now cut his promo last night. This was the big advertisement. Seth is going to tell everybody the rules at SummerSlam. Dude, you're a referee. It's just a match. You don't need to tell us. But go ahead. Add some spice to this, right? For everybody that's okay with Seth being the referee, cool. Let's get excited. Seth, cut your promo and get everybody into this match with you as the ref. Sethington Rollins then goes on for 5 minutes. This is no joke. This actually happened. So Sethington Rollins went on for 5 minutes about the most confusing rules in the history of a professional wrestling match. I've been watching this over 3 decades, easily. And describing this match, Seth Rollins, he literally had everybody confused. This is the opening segment. This is supposed to be the hottest segment. The crowd is hot, obviously, because you just started the show. They're sitting down, confused, during Seth Rollins' promo. You guys can check it out yourself. This isn't just BC's opinion of Monday Night Raw, right? This isn't just my thoughts on it. This is what actually happened last night. He had everybody sitting on their thumbs confused. Sethington Rollins was talking, and this is basically a quote. This was like a quote. Maybe there's a DQ. Maybe there's not a DQ. Maybe I'll count to 3. Maybe I'll count to 100. Maybe I'll say one thing goes, then I'll say something else goes. I guess the biggest rule is everything I say, you listen to me. Basically, that's what he said, guys. He would say one thing, then contradict it. Then say, on the day, I'm just going to make a bunch of rules. You guys just throughout the whole match, just keep listening to me as we go along. I'll keep making it up. Now, if that's fun to you guys, if there's fans out there that are like, that sounds fun, man, like the whole 20 minutes, 25 minutes, whatever Hunter gives them, that's going to be a ball of wildness. Every second, you don't know what Seth is going to throw at him. If that's cool for you, that's cool. That's your prerogative. That's where you get your kicks off. Cool. For BC, man, this is Drew and Punk. Just let them go in there and do their thing, man. You don't need to dilute this with some wild rules. There's 100 rules he listed, and none of them made sense. They all contradict one another, and they all can change at any moment. Now, if that's fun, cool. Maybe if you're getting Tozowa versus Chad Gable, you can have a referee, and you have all that schmozzery with it. But for Punk and Drew, when Sethington was done with that promo, I couldn't believe what I had just heard. It was just verbal diarrhea left and right for 5 straight minutes. I looked and I listened to the crowd, and I felt bad. I felt bad that they had to listen to that. Now, thankfully, Drew and Punk picked it up. Drew with a very good promo on CM Punk, and CM Punk came right back with an even better promo. I am telling you right now, when CM Punk is on his game, man, he is so good. That Punk, right? That when Punk is in the game, Punk is so damn good. When Punk is just bitter, thinking he's just better than the world of pro wrestling in totality, when CM Punk he's there, but the lights are on, nobody's home, right? He's not really present in the pro wrestling world. When it's that CM Punk, take it or leave it every time. Can't stand that part of CM Punk. This CM Punk, and ever since he got back to WWE, he seems like he's literally having the best of times. It looks like a more grown-up, mature CM Punk. Not saying some of those old, shitty qualities aren't in him, but this just seems like the best version of Punk we've gotten in a very long time. And that promo, man, it's not a pipe bomb, but it didn't need to be. He just had to hit everything that needed to be said to sell SummerSlam, which at that point was just 5 nights away. And he nailed it. And he finishes that promo, basically a quote here. I may not be as tall as you. I may not be as big as you. I may not be as fast as you. But you know what I do have? Heart. Heart more than you. You know what I do have? I have the people always chanting my name. You hear that? He turns to Drew and he says, what do you have? And Drew holds up that bracelet of CM Punk's with AJ Lee, Little Larry, that bracelet. And Punk is amplified during the finish of that promo. And when he turns to Drew, and Drew just says, this is what and Punk is ready to haul off. But the big rule from Adam Pearce is you guys can't get physical or the match is called off at SummerSlam. There is no match. So Punk wants to haul off, but he can't. He'll lose his opportunity to not just extract that revenge, but also get that W over Drew at SummerSlam. So he wants to, and that's the segment. Guys, this was very well done. It really was. Even with Sethington out there with his flotation device and just kind of being the distraction between Drew and Punk, trying to listen to their promos and just seeing Sethington and what he's wearing in the middle. But even with that distraction, it could not take away from a very well back and forth promo with Punk and Drew. I was already ready to see this match, and that promo put it over the top. Again, the concern here from the beginning, as I've been telling you on this channel, is the same concern coming out of this segment. Sethington is no doubt going to muddy the waters. He already is. Hopefully I'll be live with you guys for SummerSlam. A live The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly review. That's the plan anyway. That's the hope. And if that is the case, we'll be watching this match and we'll see. Can Seth add value? Can he enhance what Drew and Punk is going to do? That's the hope. It's just not looking like that's the case. They just fit him in there because they had nothing for Seth. But when it comes to just Drew and Punk, it's exactly what I knew it was going to be. Straight fire. That was the opening segment of Raw. Again, very well done. First matchup of the night, Creed brothers, Otis and Tozowa. Why are we rushing this? The feud really just started a week or two ago, and now they're already facing each other. You could have built this up couple of months. This is Otis and Tozowa, the former students of Chad Gable and the new students. There's no reason to rush this match in the middle of a Monday Night Raw. But we're going to talk about it. So, Creed brothers defeat Otis and Tozowa. Was it worth it? I mean, all of that. Do you guys remember? It was not long ago that we were all saying the same thing. When Otis finally turns on Gable, the pop is going to be next level. The feeling is going to be through the stratosphere because they were building it so beautifully, I felt. So that when Otis turns on Gable, it's going to be monumental. Guys, all he did is he shoved Gable. So the fans, it was a half-assed response because we were expecting a lot more. And that was it. That's it. That was the turn. Gable already has his new students, the Creeds, and they're already facing each other, and Otis is already losing. All of that happened, blink of an eye, snap of a finger, drop of a hat. How fast that happened, and Otis is right back to doing basically nothing, jobbing out to the new students. Creed brothers defeat Otis and Tozowa via pinfall, for those keeping score. Post-match, the Wyatts attack. The Creeds. I think Gable was able to escape at first, but the Wyatts attacked the Creeds. And the most notable thing here is this was the big full unveiling. They actually unmasked. So you got to see Dexter Lumis, you got to see Gacy, you got to see Eric Rowan, as if we didn't know. But there's a lot of fans out there that did not know that Gacy was the other or Lumis. Probably knew Rowan was. Maybe they heard it through the grapevine, but Gacy and Lumis still not really known to the larger audience. Lumis only had a few appearances on Raw, and they never had anything for him. So they told him to sit at catering, eat your triple layered moose cake. We'll think of something in the future. So fans never really got to gravitate toward anything knowledgeable toward Dexter Lumis, and Gacy, a lot of fans know nothing about. So this was the full unmasking of that. This was a big, big moment for the Wyatts. I love it. I do wish the crowd reaction was a little bit more hyped. The crowd wasn't fully there all night. And again, when you start with Sethington in his flotation device, I guess it didn't help matters in Q1. But so you wish it would, maybe looking back at it, you wish it was a hotter crowd. Maybe a little bit better of a situation. But I like the fact that we're putting this, we're pumping it into a little bit more of a higher gear. They've been there, it doesn't seem it, but they've been there a couple of months now already. We have to start doing something of substance with the Wyatts. This was very, very well done. Howdy afterwards, I think Gable was able to escape that beatdown. So he's middle of the ring and he's like, whew. But Uncle Howdy then comes out. And that's where Gable is like, nope. Deuces, oozes. And Gable, I believe, is able to haul off, right? Did Howdy get him? I don't know if Howdy actually dropped Gable. I think Gable was able to escape. Either way, he wasn't a part of the original beatdown by the Wyatts. So there you go. They're really pumping. But that's what I mean. I mean, why couldn't we just hold off on this a little bit? If you truly needed to have Gable in a feud with the Wyatts, because Otis and Tozowa are lost in the shuffle. People are already looking past that, guys. You know that. In fact, backstage, a couple of segments later, Gable went to Pierce and actually said, listen, now that we know who the names are because they unmasked, I want a sanctioned match next Monday night on Raw. And so you already have the Wyatts versus Gable and the Creeds in a 6-man tag next week. So everybody's already looking past. And by the way, Otis and Tozowa just lost. They took a pinfall loss. So what are you going to... a rematch! Otis and Tozowa in a rematch against the Creeds. All right, you can have 100 rematches. What's it going to lead to? That's what I mean. Why would you insert the Wyatts when you know you could have sat on Otis and Tozowa and Maxine, Chad Gable and the Creeds? You could have sat on that for a couple of months more of storytelling. And you could say, well, BC, maybe it's not. Maybe there's more story to tell. Well, there's no doubt you're going to have a lot more interactions with Gable and Otis backstage. Maybe some one-on-ones, one of the Creeds versus Otis. Otis gets some revenge, gets a W. What's it leading to? That's not exciting. You've already saw the match. You've already saw Otis looking up at the lights. You've already seen the Wyatts surpass them. And now the bigger feud is the Wyatts in Gable and Creed brothers. You guys know I'm right? It's not nitpicking. I'm not just trying to be more negative than positive. I'm literally saying this is why. Always having a third dimension in these feuds, it's not good. And you're always going to have a heel out healing the other heel. Like Sonya, Zoey, and Shayna out healing Damage Control. So now I guess they're forced to become baby faces, I guess, which did not work last night. And I told you it wasn't going to. Or you're going to have faces outfacing the others, like Sami and Dragunov, and their little thing with Bron Breakker, and so on and so on. It's always going to happen, guys. So this type of booking by Hunter Hearst Helmsley, it's got to stop, or at least do it like once in a blue moon, right? Why do we have to have 5 or 6 of these 3-dimensional stories all the time? It's muddying the waters. It's confusing your audience. It doesn't help your wrestlers, because one entity is going to be out-heeled or out-faced every single time, and outpaced. It's booking 101, guys. It's not rocket science here. Rocket scientist and rocket. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to do some rocket science. And this does not reinvent the wheel. This is simplistic pro wrestling booking 101. Good guy, bad guy, ultimate storyline, mega feud. Make people whip out the wallets to pay for it, whether it's straight up pay-per-view or subscription-based PLE. They got to pay for that, because you have to see the culmination of this feud. It's Pro Wrestling 101. So Otis and Tozowa already defeated. Thanks for coming. Probably should have stayed with Gable at that point. And the unveiling, the unmasking of the Wyatts, that was the biggest part of that segment. So hopefully we'll see next week is going to decide everything. The Wyatts are going to be a massive, epic entity in WWE, or they're going to fall to the wayside as a mid-AF act. And I hope that's not the case. Just the reaction last night, how I see Hunter kind of booking them, very mid. It could be. Next week's booking by Hunter Hearst Helmsley is going to decide everything. Either the Wyatts, like we hope, are going to be epic in WWE, or they're literally going to feel and be a mid-AF act. I hope that's not the case. Next week, everything is on the line for the Wyatts. I'm telling you right now, man, because they're already in a nonsensical 6-man tag. So it's like, is that how we're going to do the Wyatts? Are they going to feel special? Or is this just an act that's just going to be in random matches on Monday Night Raw every now and again? We'll see. I don't know if this is how I would put them out there as a debut, a 6-man tag in the middle of a Monday Night Raw. But they can't fit them on SummerSlam. They have way too many talents, too many matches already. They don't want a 12-13 match card for SummerSlam. So you don't even have, I think on the live stream yesterday, we came up with a wild discovery. All 3 tag titles, both men's tag titles and the women's tag titles, these are championships. 6 champions. None of them are going to be competing at SummerSlam. At least not as of that podcast. That live stream. We made the discovery that there was no tag titles that were being defended at SummerSlam. And then you wonder why the tag division isn't looked at as prestigious. SummerSlam's already too packed. So now you have the Wyatts debuting on Raw. On Sci-Fi, mind you, because of the Olympics. Not even on the USA Network. So you're going to hope you pull a 1314 rating. You're going to hope for that. Then we went on to Bronson Reed and Sheamus. You knew P.D. Dunne was going to be lurking. It's another muddy the waters feud, right? Why are all 3 of them? Why? We got to talk about it. So you have Bronson Reed defeating Sheamus. Now, if you guys are keeping score, 2 weeks ago, Sheamus already fought Bronson Reed. This is a rematch. It's redundancy, right? For no reason, you had Sheamus and Bronson. Just because Bronson said, I'm sick of you old-timers. You should be celebrating me. And because of that, 10 seconds backstage, we got Sheamus and Bronson 2 weeks ago. Cool. All right, let's just do it. I don't know anybody clamoring to see the match, but Sheamus defeats Bronson. Bronson's looking up at the lights. Cool. 2 weeks later, last night, here we go. Another match between the two. Bronson gets the W this time over so they're just trading W's and L's, right? We call this 50-50 booking in the industry. And 50-50 booking, history will tell us, 50-50 booking benefits nobody. And I do mean nobody. But 50-50 booking, cool. And this is probably going to make Hunter Hearst Helmsley go, you know what? You got to win, and you got to win. Let's have a rubber match. Let's do a third match with Sheamus and Bronson. And it's exactly what I told you guys yesterday. PD Dunne was going to interfere and Bronson was going to win. I told you guys that. There was 2 uploads yesterday, a live stream and a separate upload. And which nobody knows because YouTube did not push that to anybody, by the way. They're still upset with BC because I put Liv Morgan's assets on one of my thumbnails last week. But that's another story. The point is, both uploads. Yesterday, I told you guys, PD Dunne's most likely interfering. They're just going to give this W to Bronson so they can 50-50 him. That's exactly what happened. Bronson over Sheamus via pinfall after PD Dunne hits Sheamus with a shillelagh. And Michael Cole is screaming, Patty, hit him with the shillelagh. And it was at that moment, it was one of those moments where I'm just like, what are we doing? What are we doing? This is not fun. This is leading to nothing. I don't know how many people are clamoring to see PD Dunne and Sheamus because of what they've been doing the last 3 weeks. And I know nobody's clamoring to see Bronson and Sheamus wrestle for a 3rd time. Michael Cole is screaming, Pat, the shillelagh! He hit him with the shillelagh! It was like, that's it. That's it. Cole says these three, and then Cole says these 3 have been fighting one another as of late. Like making it sound like these 3, they've had an epic rivalry basically lately. No, what? Why are they even in this trio thing? Bronson didn't ask for this. PD Dunne just waltzes out because he lost Tyler Bate due to injury, his tag team partner. So all of a sudden he's rekindling this weird feud from beforehand because Sheamus broke up the group, he feels, I guess. Okay, just like Seth has no business with Drew and Punk, that's separate with Punk. Same thing with PD and Sheamus. Why is Bronson in there just because you have nothing for Bronson? So now I'm supposed to believe that PD Dunne and Bronson have a feud just because you put Pete Dunne and Bronson in a match 3 weeks ago. Or was it last week? But just because they had a match together, now Bronson has a beef with PD Dunne. No, they don't. They do not. No, most fans are not going to think, oh, what am I doing with my prime time tonight? What am I doing tonight, right? I'm going to suspend all my other plans. I'm going to watch PD Dunne, Sheamus, and Bronson Reed. Said not many ever. That was the end of hour 1, by the way. Hour number 2 started with a pre-tape of Bron Breakker. I gotta talk about this, actually, because damn, that's the best we've seen out of Bron Breakker. Hour 2 starts with a pre-tape Bron Breakker promo on Sami Zayn. This was the best I've seen Bron Breakker look and sound since he debuted on the main roster, guys. There's no reason to have him out there facing and fighting and beating Dragunov every week. Or losing in the middle of the ring at a PLE to Sami Zayn looking up at the lights. There's no reason to have him wrestle all the time like that. Especially the way you're utilizing him. What you saw last night, that's all you had to do. So Jey Uso defeats Carlito via pinfall. That was off the spear for those keeping score at home. There's no reason for Jey Uso to be using the spear still, obviously. He's not a power guy. He's not known to be a power guy like a Goldberg or a Roman Reigns, his cousin. He's not a high-octane, high-energy, passionate, amplified character like Edge, Adam Copeland. I don't know why Jey Uso is beating individuals with a spear. It's absolutely not believable. It's just not. And recently, Rikishi caught a lot of heat because he says that his son is not getting proper booking from Hunter Hearst Helmsley. He blasted Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Basically said the way that Jey Uso is being booked is basically criminal because everybody is yeeting. The merchandise is flying off the shelf, but yet he's not involved in anything reputable. And he really blasted the seeds that were planted with Rhea Ripley and Jey Uso. Which, by the way, last night, I don't think I saw anything between them. So maybe Helmsley didn't want to totally upset Rikishi, Daddy Uso. But a lot of you guys felt kind of down the middle, right? Some of you guys felt like Jey Uso isn't being booked properly. The merchandise is pumping. People are eating. He should get a lot more in the company. And then there's a lot of you guys, and BC's kind of included, where I just don't see him as a singles guy. He fits perfectly as a tag team with Jimmy. My favorite tag team is the Usos. So that tells you something. And if he wants to have a singles run, cool. You know, I think there is a ceiling, though. Jey Uso, are you really putting him up there with Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and John Cena? Are you putting him at the level of Roman Reigns? Maybe. That's your prerogative, man. If you are a big fan of Jey, like I said, I am with him and Jimmy. Favorite tag team, easily. But if you see him as a singles, if you see him up there with Stone Cold, Cena, and them, that's your prerogative, man. That's how you see him. You're a huge fan. But there's a lot of us, and BC is included. I just don't. I think there is a ceiling with Jey Uso as a singles competitor. Now, that doesn't mean Rikishi, Daddy Jey Uso is wrong, right? You could still give him something very big as a storyline. But I also think they're kind of waiting for Roman's return, SummerSlam, and then really try to put the pieces of the puzzle together, you know? And I think that's when you're going to see Jimmy come back, and Jay's going to somehow be a big part of this, even though that's more SmackDown-driven. Roman's return, Solo's over there. The new Bloodline's over there. So I don't know how you kind of navigate Jey Uso over there. But I guess that's what they're doing. But last night didn't do any favors, or it did not ease the frustrations of Rikishi, because Jey is just out there in a random match with Carlito, hits his spear, and that's it. The only memorable thing in that match was commentary screaming that Carlito had his apple yeeted out of him. He was chewing his apple when he got speared, and he spit it all out, and Pat McAfee basically had an orgasm. Pat McAfee, he can be funny with the sexual like innuendos with the yeeting, and then it can just be redundancy. It's like, stop, man. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's too much, and it takes away from a Jey Uso match, because Pat McAfee just has there's no seriousness at all with Pat in a Jey Uso match. None. It's all about just yeeting all over the place. We get it. You're eating all over the place. Sometimes, again, it's funny. You got to be in the right mood. And then other times, it's like, Pat, just stop for a second, man. Let Jey Uso do his match so we can concentrate. I don't know, but Jey Uso with this spear over Carlito, I don't know what this does for anybody. It didn't make me want to see Jey Uso more, and I feel bad for Carlito. You guys know I'm a big fan of Carlito, big supporter of Carlito. I would have liked when he came back to have a much better run than he's having. But with the Judgment Day, I will say this. He is probably the brightest part of Judgment Day. I know he was just a tack-on member. I don't even know if he's an actual full-fledged member right now. But Carlito is the best comedy in that whole group. Carlito is funnier than R-Truth to BC. It's so natural, man. He fits that role so beautifully. Who would have thought? That's the best I could say. Carlito in the ring. I don't know if Hunter really sees too much. That's a shame. So that's what I got, man. I went a lot longer than what my notes had down for this match. Alls I had in my notes was Jey Uso defeats Carlito via pinfall off the spear. Carlito had his apple yeeted out of him. Period. That's it. That was my whole notes. So I'm giving you guys all I got. There was nothing of substance in this match. Backstage, Zelina Vega is jumped by Sonya Deville, Shayna Baszler, and Zoey Stark. This was so well done. This was really well done. Now I know you guys are going to go just like Carlito. You're going to say, BC, you're biased because you really like Zelina Vega. So of course you're going to say this was well done just because Zelina was in it. No, if you guys go back and check out the way it was done, it reminded me of like an old school, like women's attack in the bathroom, right? Like you hear these stories where like the mean girls went into the bathroom and the one girl they didn't like was in there and they beat up the girl in the bathroom, right? This is like Zelina Vega was doing this interview. Maybe Kathy Kelly. I don't think it was Jackie Redmond. Maybe it was Kathy Kelly. I forgot. She's doing this interview. And she's by these like nice regal doors, by the way, so you don't think no attack is going to happen. And then all of a sudden, Sonya, Shayna, and Zoey show up, and they like engulf her. You could tell they were not just going to talk; they were just going to kind of bash her. But Zelina didn't back down. There's no place to back down. Her back was literally against these big giant doors in this wall. But it just felt like the Mean Girls just came into the bathroom, and there's Zelina, and they just beat her down, and she already had a bad arm, so they stomped it again against the big door, big wall, whatever it was. And Zelina is just in agonizing pain. The camera work was well done. The whole backstage segment, very well done. So, yeah, there you go, man. Zelina Vega, even in segments like that. And again, Sonya and Shayna and Zoey, probably the best they've looked in a long time with that beatdown. Karrion Kross defeated Xavier Woods via pinfall. Literally nothing of substance. That's it. That's what I had in my notes. Karrion Kross defeats Xavier Woods via pinfall. That's it. Is this enough to make people go, okay, now Karrion Kross is back on track. Now this is the way he should be being booked. What, random middle of Monday Night Raw matches? I mean, this is a feud supposedly that's been going on for like over a month. I don't even look at it as such. Xavier and Karrion Kross is a feud. Kofi Kingston and Kross was a feud. I forgot everything they've done in the last month plus. Footage of Jesse the Body Ventura meeting with Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Put kind of in the parking lot. Jesse Ventura pulls up. Think about that. For older fans, Jesse the Body Ventura. Just wow. That's what I put in my notes. Wow. If you guys only knew. Jesse Ventura coming back to WWE is one of those things you literally thought, even though you never say never, even though BC says everybody always comes back. I said that about Hogan. I said that about Warrior. One of the only ones to say that about CM Punk. And people are like, BC, on his wedding day, papers were filed from WWE. He's never coming back. I'm like, he's coming back, and so is AJ Lee one day. Trust me on that. But Jesse Ventura, you could have told me he's never, and I probably would have been like, he's the one exception. He's the asterisk. Jesse Ventura is one of the most stubborn individuals on the planet. And he had real beef with WWE. A lot of it was kind of driven toward Vincent Kennedy. But just what WWE represented and just not being unionized, by the way, that dreaded U word. They did not want Jesse Ventura a part of WWE either because he was trying to unify the lock. If you guys know what I mean, it's the dreaded U word. Vince McMahon wanted no part of it. And I know H doesn't want any part of it. So hopefully, they brought him back on some Legends deal. Obviously, they're going to try to put in place. I don't know if they're going to hash this out and say, please do not try to use that U word anymore. All right. Do not do that. We're not going that route. We're not doing that. We're not going to entertain the idea. Because if he was able to do that, guys, the business would be so different today. And everything that Vince pulled for decades, that would have never been allowed if Jesse the Body Ventura was able to unionize the industry. But he wasn't able to. Jesse Ventura says that Hulk Hogan actually ratted him out because Hogan was one of the top guys. If they unionized, a lot more people would have equal pay to Hulk Hogan, and Hogan would just be another spoke on the wheel. Hogan knew he could keep everybody down. He could be the top guy if he just rats everybody out that's trying to unionize. And then Hogan would just remain the top guy. He'd be in good with Vince because he knows he can trust him because I'm going to give you all the information. So he says Hulk Hogan ruined everything. They could have been unionized. That's some backstory. The point is to see Jesse the Body Ventura back on WWE television. It's absolutely wild. And it had to be the meeting with Hunter. Hunter is such an egomaniac, man. Hunter always has to be the center of attention. Hunter always has to make sure you're talking about him. Every kickoff show, are you ready? Hunter's got to be there. Every post show, he's there with his little bifocals going over the night. He's on all the promotional ads. He's got to be there when Jesse comes back. Oh man, just stay in Gorilla, have your magic pen, and do some good booking. Get creative. That's all we need from you. You don't have to be on TV all the time, Hunter. You don't always gotta be in the moment, Hunter, or on camera. But he's right there with Jesse Ventura. I had to speak on that for a minute, man. Jesse the Body Ventura. Wow. Sami Zayn then defeats Dominik Mysterio via DQ when Carlito and McDonald's interfered. Post-match, Jason Uso hits the ring to even up the odds. Bron Breakker tries to sneak attack Sami, but Samuel takes out Breakker. Couldn't leave well enough alone. Hunter Hearst Helmsley, right? That's one of those situations. Couldn't leave well enough alone because you had Bron Breakker looking great earlier, sounding great in that backstage promo, and I'm like, yes, that's how you book Bron Breakker. And then here we are an hour later. Breakker tries to sneak attack Sami. Not only does it fail, Sami beats him up, and then Breakker's on the outside like, I'm all set, man. Maybe at SummerSlam. You made the dude look like an absolute idiot. So just an hour after we've seen the best of Bron Breakker and sound the best, an hour later, he looks the weakest. Sami Zayn defeats Dominik Mysterio via DQ. Then we go into hour number 3. Hour number 3, Zoey, Shayna, and Sonya defeat Valkyria, Chance, and Carter via pinfall. Cara, there you go. The Italian came out big time there, huh? Valkyria, Chance, and Carter, there you go, via pinfall. Zoey with a nasty Z360 to Chance for the cover. This was really good. Of course, Chance is a very small individual. She's tiny, right? She's fun-sized. If it's Halloween candy, she's the bite-sized fun size, right? She's tiny, so Zoey just literally like picked her up and like, all right, we're gonna make this fun. She just flipped her like a New Day pancake. Boom! Face to the knee of Zoey. You knew Chance was not getting up after that. So just a nasty Z360 for the W. And again, Zoey, Shayna, and Sonya with the W over Val, Chance, and Carter. Post-match, Damage Control returns. Damage Control to the ring. They drop the heels. The crowd is absolutely confused. Check it out, man. You guys will see the crowd doesn't know what to do. A heel group attacking a heel group because said heel group was attacked by the other heel group weeks ago. Does that make sense? Are you guys keeping track? Sonya, Shayna, and Zoey. Zoey, Shayna, do they have a name yet? I can't keep saying that. Zoey, Shayna, Sonya. I think it's the Shayna, Sonya part. Those three attacked Damage Control weeks ago. Why? Sonya's group are heels. Damage Control is heels. So the only question now was Damage Control supposed to turn babyface in that attack weeks ago? Because it didn't work. Crowd didn't care. Crowd didn't know what was going on. And when they returned last night, listen to that reaction? No. At first, oh, who's coming out? Oh, it's Damage Control, right? There's a little bit of like ruffling in the crowd. And then once they hit the ring and posed for the hard camera to end the segment, crowd couldn't care less, or they were just that confused. Like, are we supposed to... what are they? They were heels. They beat Val, Chance, and Carter, and then Sonya's group attacked them. So I'm serious here, guys. What is Hunter thinking? Is Damage Control now faces just because heels beat them up? Heels out-heeled them. So now, boom, they're faces. Gone are the days where Shawn Michaels super kicks Marty Jannetty and sends him through the barber shop window, right? Then you knew that was a turn. That's a heel turn. Now we have babyface turns just because a heel attacked another heel. And that's Damage Control now. Now they're posing like, yeah, well, we beat up the heels that beat us up. Now we're crowd favorites. Didn't work. They don't know what they're doing with the Damage Control, and I don't think Hunter cares. He's going to have them every week out there facing heels, the next week facing faces. Nothing's going to make sense. Fans will be confused, and Damage Control will be no better off next week than they were a year ago. Gunther then defeats Finn Balor via pass-out submission in the main event. Post-match, Damian Priest and Gunther in a great brawl. Damian, this was the best the dude has ever looked. And I mean that. Damian Priest in that beatdown segment when he was on that commentary table and he's throwing those bows, BC literally put in his notes, best I've ever seen Damian Priest look. That is legit. I'll talk about it. So after Gunther is passed out, Balor, he re-locks in that submission choke, locks it in even tighter. Balor is just like, he's already in La La Land. Damian comes out. And this wasn't one of Hunter Hearst Helmsley's redundant brawls where a bunch of refs, a bunch of suits and ties get in the middle. We see it all the time. It's a melee. It's chaos. Right? We get it. No, this was just like there was just one referee out there just to give them instructions on how much time is left, when we're ending the show, when to get on the commentary table. The ref has to be there to give those instructions. But this was just Damian and Gunther just absolutely just beating each other up. And when I say beat it, I mean Damian was just absolutely wailing away on Gunther. This lets you know that Gunther is going to win that championship Saturday. There's pretty much no doubt about that now, because they had Damian looking like a badass last night. And they had Damian on top of Gunther on the commentary table. And he's wailing away. And he had some good shots too, man. Just some pops in the dome piece. They were really good. It looked phenomenal, man. Damian, that's the Damian we need more of, man. The dude, just make him a badass powerhouse dude. I'm fine with that, right? He said in a promo that Gunther called him street trash. So Damian said in Puerto Rico, we call that a badass or something like that. So I'm like, good, do be that. And then he came out and he backed it up, right? He started absolutely straight smashing Gunther. That's what you need. That's Damian Priest. That's the way that we can get over that massive botch, no matter what caused it. The massive botch at Money in the Bank and not kicking out, That's the Damian where there's hesitation, there's mistakes. Doesn't feel right. It feels forced. It feels like he's not ready. That Damian, he just came with no hesitation, full confidence, full amplification. We here to whoop some ass. Damian Priest ends the show, badass fashion. That's it, guys. That's the go-home show. SummerSlam is now, as of right now, as of this recording, 4 nights away. 4 nights, hard to believe. Last night was not one of the best Raws, nowhere near it. I'll be hard-pressed to call it a good Raw. But what was really good was the performances, the promos, the backstage segments, the pre-tapes, the amplification, the passion. It felt like the boys and gals are ready to rock out at SummerSlam. That part of it, so damn good. The booking of Hunter Hearst Helmsley kind of drags it down a little bit. But the boys and gals, man, they rocked it last night. And that helped BC get through that Monday Night Raw and get just a little bit more excited for SummerSlam. There'll be a ton more content, obviously, throughout the week, culminating this Saturday, hopefully live, with a live SummerSlam review, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I hope you guys can stop by, say what's up, smash the up, hopefully chill for a little bit. I know some of you guys stay the entire live stream, hang out with BC and check out SummerSlam. Some of you guys check in every match to see where we're placing the tallies, good, bad, or ugly column. That's the plan. So a lot more content coming up. It is SummerSlam week. We're 4 nights away until next time. And there will be that next time. Top guys, we're out. BC in the unit saying check you. Deuces, ooses. Check you guys. Go long, man. We're going to go Hail Mary status, man. 75-yard bomb to the end zone.